Welcome back to another architecture video, and today we're talking about artificial intelligence. It's all the rage. I don't know if you've heard, but it's absolutely everywhere right now. So I saw this post on Instagram the other day. It was this handful of images all here, right? All this together. This is all one post, and they're compelling images, right? It kind of caught my attention. It's like, oh, that's kind of a cool looking building, and this is what it said. Introducing our design for Blackberry's new headquarters in Toronto, and then they tag Blackberry. And you can totally understand where this kind of came from. As soon as you mentioned Blackberries, like this kind of looks like a big stretched out Blackberry. I think that makes sense. I'm wondering the fact that they tag Blackberry, that kind of makes me think this probably isn't their actual client, and they're kind of looking for some attention. Because if this is what they're actually presenting to the client, they might, we're in trouble. This is not good because we'll get into some details in a minute here and about why artificial intelligence and AI it's not quite there yet. Um, it can make some really compelling images. Like these are sexy, beautiful images that they keep your attention, they capture your imagination. But when we get into the details, it's not cutting it. It's not to the point where it's super useful yet. So just back to what they said here. So this is the design for the new headquarters in downtown Toronto. It looks like you can see the CN Tower there in the background for Blackberry. We sort of covered that. Looks like a big Blackberry. Cool. A tower imagined through structure, systems, and the encrypted legacy of Canadian tech. What does that even mean? Sometimes this is where I get annoyed with other architects, and they just use this really flowery, fluffy language to try and sell their projects, and I just don't really buy it. I don't know. Like, what is the encrypted legacy of Canadian tech? Like a tower imagined through the encrypted legacy of Canadian tech. Um, or I guess a Canadian tech company. If I zoom out, yeah, Canadian tech giant. What does that mean? Like, I don't know. And I'll come back to this again in a minute when we look at the structures and systems. We'll get into that in more detail. Bold, sculptural, encrypted. Again, the word encrypted, I don't really get it. Bold and sculptural, yes, I would agree with that. That's a pretty bold looking building. I haven't seen anything like this in real life. It's pretty cool looking, to be honest. And AI is good for some of that, which we'll get into here. So, just rounding out the rest of the post, taking glass to new dimensions and architecture into unfamiliar territory, powered by AI, designed by blank. I won't say who it is. I don't want to be mean. They're a pretty, renowned firm in Toronto. I mean, you can look them up. If you search for this, you can find them. And I won't name them because I actually do like some of their other work. I think they're pushing the boundaries compared to a lot of other architecture firms. Kind of a young, up and coming office, and I'm bet they're going to get a lot of work in the future all over the world. So kudos to them. But to put this out there and say powered by AI, let's get into the details. This starting image right here, this is why AI is great because to model this out in 3D, like this would take me from scratch. This would take me all day to do this. If I was doing it in Rhino with, a parametric grasshopper extension, something like that, I could do it. But I mean, that's a tricky building to model. But you can probably pump that out in like 5 minutes with some really good prompts in AI, right? So this is the kind of stuff where AI becomes super useful because you're looking for these compelling images that you can pump out really quickly that get your idea across fast. It's not worried about the details. It's just you want that sort of impactful rendering that says, "Hey, this is kind of our idea. What do you think?" And it grabs your attention, which is what you want. And you're spending your time kind of iterating on these ideas as opposed to having to slowly model them out. And this is another one. It's clearly not the same building exactly. Like this one is, I don't know how many of these pods tall it is, but this one's obviously shorter. And this is where you can start to see this whole design start to break down because introducing our design for BlackBerry's new headquarters. That makes me think, hey, this is a finished design, or at least like one kind of cohesive design. It's not at all. This is one building. This is a very similar building, but it's not the same. It's quite a bit shorter. It's like half as tall. What about this one? I mean, these two look like they could maybe be the same at a glance, right? But again, it's not the same building. You have at the very top one, two, three, four pods across. This one, two, three. Two below that, whereas this one's got one, two, three, four, five below that. Like the width of this one and these pods doesn't match this. It's maybe a little closer to this one over here, but again, it's way too short, so it doesn't match, which is fine. That's a minor detail, but still, these three buildings and these first three images, like one, two, three, they don't match. It's not the same building. They're very similar, same family, but it's not the same building. Moving on. The fourth image, this one. This looks like an old-timey sort of hand-drawn rendering, right? And at a glance, it's like, again, very compelling, very cool. Um, and I can start to see maybe with these last two images where they're saying that it's inspired by the encrypted technology of this tech company. Maybe if you're really trying to stretch it and sort of post-rationalize this design a little bit, you could say each of these pods, right, is kind of self-contained, and therefore they're sort of private, kind of like an encrypted, old BBM message if you ever had one of those phones with the push buttons. Because this was one of the first tech companies that had encrypted communications, like basically encrypted sort of built-in text, right? And that's why like they used it in government and stuff a lot. It was super popular, like whatever, 15 years ago. So each of these little pods is kind of encrypted, sort of. I mean, that's a stretch to say that. Um, but hey, maybe that's what they're getting at. Anyway, back to this drawing. Again, does it match the other ones? Sort of. This one's pretty close, actually. Like these two, if we look at those, they're pretty similar. These could potentially be the same building. At four pods across the top, next row's got five. It looks to be roughly the same height. I'm not going to count it out. It's pretty close. Now, to say that this building is a tower imagined through structure, I mean, every tower has to include structure. It's important so that it doesn't fall over. But if you're really going to emphasize structure, um, just take a quick look at this in a little more detail, and it just starts to fall apart. These pods, sure, they could be hanging off the main floor plate, whatever, it doesn't matter. But then as you work your way down here, the load, look at this giant column, working it all the way down. It's like 4 stories tall, working itself down to grade, and then what? It's nothing. There's no column taking it down to the basement, down to grade, nothing. There should be a giant footing there, kind of like there's sort of a footing here. That's like half a footing, um, sort of. And that's it. There's really no other, like, there's no foundations involved. This is such an unrealistic drawing. Like, for a building this size, a big tower, like, you need massive footings down here, and there's nothing. It just has none of that. Like, it's really missing the technical aspect. It's good at these imaginative, really interesting, compelling images, but then when you dive into the details and the sort of the technique and just the details, the structural detailing, the technology, it's not quite there. It's really lacking in the technical aspect. But okay, we'll give it some grace period. And we'll move on to the next image. Again, this looks like a completely different building. When you look into the details, this one's only got 2 pods kind of spanning the top. The next row looks like it's got 3. That doesn't match any of these. So again, totally different building, not one cohesive design whatsoever. The sort of base of the tower looks quite different, very skinny. Little podium, sure. It's kind of a cool image though, again in itself, right? Because it's mimicking like an old sort of, even an old, but like a 3D printed model or an old wood model, something like that. They're cool images. I like them. But again, it doesn't really link up with these other drawings. It's just not quite the same. And where things really start to fall apart is with this last image here. This is a floor plan. We'll dive into that here. I should give them some props and say like, I mean, I kind of mentioned this already. Like, I do like these as images. I think they are compelling. If you're trying to sell your idea, if you're trying to get Blackberry on board as a client, like, yeah, it doesn't hurt to show some flashy images and say, look what we can do. Like, this is totally possible. Um, and I would say it is probably possible, but it's insane as a building, because it's first of all they're saying this is all glass, right? Each one of these pods is glass. I'm assuming because they're taking glass to new dimensions. Um, Sure, it's a big glass bubble, which would cost an absolute fortune um, to manufacture. And then when you look at sort of all that lost space, like you're paying for all that glass, it's going to cost you like 4 times as much, but you're losing all this floor space in between. So like you're paying 4 times as much for half as much actual building. Like, look at all the wasted space like in between all these, right? There's You're still paying for that because it's part of the building, but there's nothing there. It's just wasted empty space, all that interstitial space. Um, so as a design, I don't love that at all. Like, it's not efficient whatsoever. It's a complete waste of space. Um, but it's compelling. And maybe that's all they're going for, right? Trying to get Blackberry's attention and get a job out of them, which sure enough. But anyway, let's go back to this last drawing because this one, um, I actually left a comment on this one and just said, like, hey, these images are cool, but this floor plan is horrendous. And let's look at why. Again, does this match the other images? Like, if anything, this one maybe matches this guy here, right? It's only a couple pods wide. This one that we're looking at is 3 pods wide or long. Again, it's 2 wide, 3 long, however you want to look at it. That sort of matches this, sure. So I would say like this plan is closest to this drawing right here. Doesn't really match the other ones, which fine. We've kind of established that is okay. Doesn't matter at this point. Is what it is. But going back to this plan, where do we even start? So this is let me just erase that and let's start fresh here. This is a multi-story office building in downtown Toronto. We know that because it's for Blackberry, it's an office. It's downtown Toronto according to their image. Guess what? You can't have a Part 3 building with one exit stair in Canada. This is just completely, you know, against the law. You can't do that. For safety reasons, you have to have 2 exits in a big Part 3 building like this. And the fact that they're putting it out saying, hey, look at this awesome design that we have for Blackberry, which is completely illegal. Like, I don't know. You're not doing yourself any favors by telling people that you did this, quite frankly. It's like, if you put effort into this, and this is still what it looks like, all right. So that's just one. That's one big one right off the bat. But then let's look at the details, right? We talked about wasted space in the floor plan, and this is where it really starts to show up. Because, like, what is this space? What is this space? What's that space? A closet? What's this space in here? What's that? What's this wasted space? What's this? What's this kind of empty closet? Um, it's so inefficient and like there's just nothing in those spaces. I mean, realistically, if this were an actual building, just erase those, some of those would get used up by building services, right? You need water, you need heating and cooling, you need air circulation, you have lots of wiring, pipes and ductwork, all that stuff's running through some of these spaces. So like maybe this one here, yeah, you have a pipe, you have another couple pipes. Becomes your mechanical chase, and then I don't know, you have an electrical one over here, and sure, maybe you have a mechanical one with some. Maybe that's this one kind of in the middle that they're showing there. That would be pretty standard actually. To have something kind of in the middle of the floor plate where the surfaces can run vertically and branch out at every floor. So they're not all wasted, but the way they're showing it just doesn't really make a lot of sense, right? Clear those out of there. Okay, so that's one issue. And then if we just start to actually look at the plan itself, say you pop out of the elevator, all right, and you want to go to your office up here. Sure, you go up this way. Like, look at that door. This door is first, like, it's just deleting space from this wall with no tolerance. Like, it's kind of a door into a closet, let alone not really the office. Same thing over here. Like, you have a door, like this is the door, but then like you're gonna walk into this little pointy nub that's sticking out and stab yourself on the wall. And then actually, if we get rid of those, the actual door frame, go down to a smaller pen size here. The actual door frame right here, is it a smaller pen size? Yeah, it's the smallest it goes. Okay. That actual door frame, it's not even on the wall, right? Like, look at that. It's off the wall. So that's ridiculous. Even the even the chairs. Look at the chairs in all of these offices. They're all different. Like, that's your office chair. Okay, like that's kind of a chair. This is like half of a chair with an arm on it. This is a different style. Same thing over here. It's like this one doesn't match this one, doesn't match this one, doesn't match that one. Like it's just so inconsistent. It's just scraping the internet to see what an office chair looks like and putting some in one place, some in another place, merging them together in other places. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. I saw a funny comment too, actually, on this post. It said, "Why aren't these desks round?" And that's I think, a hilarious example of why AI is just not good for these applications. You have all these perfectly circular round offices, but because it just scrapes the internet to see what an office desk looks like, 99% of office desks are square. So that's what it just dropped in, right? That doesn't make any sense in this plan. Like, how much better would a round table be in this room so you can actually come in through this ridiculous doorway and try not to stab yourself on that pointy corner? And then you can actually flow around and have some circulation space instead of just all these little pinch points, right? Like pinch point here, pinch point here, pinch point here. And they're all like that. A round table would just make way more sense. If you're actually putting the effort into designing these round rooms, like put a round table in it. What else? Where else do we? Let's move down here a little bit. We looked at those doors. Actually, before we move down, where's this window looking? Into an empty shaft? Cool. Nice view from the hallway. That's just a complete waste of everyone's time. Why would you bother? This one's like half a doorway. You can see it's like it kind of put in the door frame, like thresholds, kind of, and it's got almost a door swing, but it didn't quite do it. And the way that it's kind of showing that there's like a piece of glass there or something, like it's just that doesn't make any sense. This is probably the best door on the plan because it sort of makes sense. It's actually in the wall for once and swinging in, not bumping into anything. Sure, kind of like this one is bumping into this wall right here. Makes no sense. Come down here. I don't know. Is this a doorway? Is that a doorway? It's got a threshold. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Same, like, what's this line? What is it? What are these two lines? What's that line? Um, don't know. So again, you come out of the elevator, you come down here, you go through this weird zigzag. You want to go to this office. Then you go through this door and then this weird kind of like closet room. And then you go through here, but then this door swings into this gap here, which is part of this like lobby space. Like, there's a receptionist in there. Like, these are just so non-functional. And then, like, if we're actually going to talk about like functional spaces and what an office needs, like in terms of like a receptionist or like bathrooms, like, is this a bathroom in the office? Like, is this the bathroom that's got the window looking into it? No, there's no bathrooms shown here. So I guess you got to go up or down a couple floors to use the washroom. Super convenient. Not really. That's terrible. Um, what else? The windows, sure. Except look at I don't know, the best example of this pod in terms of windows. Take a corner unit. Window here, window here, window here. So you get three little views out through what looks to be a pretty heavy, solid concrete wall that goes like through 90% of the perimeter of that little private office. But that's not what is being shown here whatsoever. That's the complete opposite. These are saying, hey, this is all glass. Look how transparent and cutting edge our building is. Meanwhile, you zoom over here to the plan, and it's like 90% concrete with a couple little holes punched in it. It just doesn't even match that first image whatsoever. Um, so I just, this is where these AI generated images really start to lose me, and it gets kind of annoying when you see this stuff just going crazy online and people are saying, look at this amazing building, but it's just got stairs going up into a wall, and there's a door opening off like a third floor balcony into nothing, and it just like the levels don't even make sense. It's just AI doesn't have the ability to kind of make sense of this stuff yet. It's really good at pumping out sexy, compelling images that draw your attention and at a glance say, oh, that's awesome. And a lot of people did say, like, oh, this is a sweet building. I would love to see this in Toronto. Because there's nothing like this. But then when you get into the details of it and just the technicals, it's not there. Not to say that it won't get there eventually, but at this point in time, it's kind of a tool for, I think, making ideas. It's a starting off point because you pump in a prompt that says something like, hey, I want a building that's an office tower that looks like a Blackberry. and you get some of these really cool images, right? But that's your starting off point. Then you actually have to get into the details yourself. You know, if you're a designer, if you're an architect, if you're an architecture school, whatever it is, and you have to actually work through it and try to make sense of it and make it work because this just doesn't. It's kind of a ridiculous plan, and to go out there and say that you spent some time on this and you're putting it out into the world, it's kind of embarrassing. So. Um, it is what it is. I mean, it'll get better, I'm sure, but put some more time into it. Put some effort into it. Use it as a jumping off point, and don't just spend 10 minutes prompting out some images and then throw it out in the world saying, "Hey, look at this cool thing I did," because a lot of the time it's garbage, um, and that's kind of what this is. It's AI garbage. So, anyway, that's the end of my rant. I'll end it there. It is useful. It's a useful tool. I'll use it in the future. I'm sure I'll do more videos on AI as well, but we have to be better. And you got to police this stuff. When you see this stuff online, like call it out. Like, hey, this is a joke. What are you doing? So, anyway, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching. If you're into architecture stuff, subscribe. I'm gonna pump out all kinds of these architecture related videos. Give it a thumbs up if you thought it was interesting. And if you want to see more, shoot me a comment down below, and I'll get back to you. And if let me know what you want to see. Kind of the world is our oyster at this point. There's tons of possibilities. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.